Hey, 7th graders, Mr. Allard with a quick video tutorial on how to work with our new vocabulary packet. So it would be very beneficial if you had your vocabulary packet out in front of you. I'm not going to do this on compare, contrast, cause, or effect, because we haven't done those in class yet. We'll kind of have a separate video that talks about the meaning of the vocabulary words that you can use for extra credit. We're going to be focusing in on RAG here. All right, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Make myself a little smaller here, hopefully. So there we go. All right, so move this over a little bit. It's a little hard to see all of it. There we go. Scroll down to RAG. So in class today, we did quite a few word definitions in each of our classes. So basically what the one-word definition is it's any word that you would, 3 to 5 words of any kind of term that you would use in explaining that vocabulary term to somebody else. So for future reference, we're always going to be looking for somewhere between 3 to 5 words in this box. I'm going to put that in there just for the future. So we talked about in class, now you can number them, you can bullet them, whatever it may be. So in class, some of the ones we mentioned were, now you would be writing this out obviously, but we talked about the first one that most people came out with was a sentence that was right from the OTA. The next one that we came up with in a lot of our questions was restate, because you're restating. And what are you restating to make a sentence? You're restating your question. So a lot of us had that there as well. Some others that came up in other classes is, let's see, what else did we have? We had restate, sentence, question. We had answer, okay, as one of them. And then another one we mentioned was, details. Was another. These are all things that you would mention. Now, some of you may have any combination of those. Some of you may have other words. Some of you may not. But I'm going to be looking for 3 words that have to do with ragging a sentence in there. Okay, that's it. There's no like magical. If you have these terms, you're right. Okay, it's about answering and making sure those terms match up to the definition. So one student could have sentence restating question, and that's it, and get full credit. Another student may have answer, question, sentence, and they're both going to get full credit answers for that. When we come down the picture, I don't tend to do a lot with this. See if I can bring my draw function up here a little bit, because most of you are not going to have any issues with here. When I grade it, I basically want to cover up the word rag on your sheet and then be able to say, oh, that's what rag has to do with. So one thing we talked about in one of my classes is maybe, and this is going to be real bad because, my great writing here, is I might draw, a piece of paper like this, question 1. Or actually, let's think of a different. I got a better one. Is actually, let me get even out of draw for a second. Get out of that. Go back to home, and let me maybe, write a question. So I think the one we used last period today was, what is today's weather like? Now, you could be writing it, you could be typing it, whatever, and then I could come in and I could say, all right, what would that look like if I was ragging it? Well, I'd get rid of that question part, so I'd scratch that out. I'd get rid of that question mark, I'd scratch that out, and then I might get rid of my jar again, and then say, today's weather is, and then I would answer that question, rainy for today. All right, but that would work for that. Some people talked about, maybe drawing a test with an answer on it, or drawing, today's weather is, that would be fine. For anything that looks like somebody is ragging, okay? Where students are going to struggle is the 7-up sentence. I gave you this 7-up sentence sheet yesterday. This would be a great sheet to have out in front of you, okay? We've got a little kind of formula. First thing that your 7-up sentence must have in it is the vocabulary term. So somewhere in this sentence, it's got to have rag, okay? Has to be one of your words, and there has to be 7 more. So technically, I give you 1, so you got to be 6. But 7-up sounds better because it's kind of like the soda. There's words you can't use. Okay, some of them, my, it, they, them, those. You cannot start your sentence with that because it's not specific. All right. You want to underline the vocabulary word that you're using. That's going to help me. That's going to help you kind of find where that vocabulary word is in your sentence, okay? You can get bonus points for adding other vocabulary words. I don't think we're there quite yet. We can talk about it a little bit on this video, but I really want to just focus on getting the sentence down, okay? You want to show what you know, okay? On your sheet, it says no purple sentences. Basically, what that means is I should not be able to take your vocab out, insert the word purple, and your sentence still makes sense. And we'll go over that once we got one, okay? And then your sentence must be accurate. I know some people like history, but try to keep it in the context of the classroom. So if we're talking about the American Revolution, your sentences should be about the American Revolution. If we're talking about 9/11, your sentences should be about 9/11. That doesn't mean you can't. I'm just saying it's going to be harder. So the vocabulary word in our little formula here, plus the example, plus an explanation. So I would say, when would be an example of using rag? Well, you would use rag in social studies, okay? So who would use rag in social studies? Students, right? So we can start students in social studies used rag, right? That's pretty good, okay? Does that explain to a person who doesn't know what rag is? Could we pull rag out and put purple in, and that sentence could still make sense? I mean, it'd be a little silly to say students in social studies used purple, but they could. Maybe a purple colored pencil or a purple marker or whatever. So we need to explain that a little bit more. Well, what would they use rag to do? They'd use rag to answer a question. So let's talk about a question. Well, what questions could they answer? Well, we've done a bunch of questions, right? In your chapter 1 packet. We answered questions about our summer. We answered questions about our friends. We answered questions about all sorts of different things. So we could say, students in social studies use rag. Oops, I want to take my underline out, to answer questions about, pick whatever one you like. Okay. I don't have my packet, or maybe I do have my packet right here. Actually, do I? Oh, yep, I've got my packet right here. So I'll pick the last one. Answer questions about numbers mania, and that would be fine right there. You want to add it to another level in a full sentence. All right, now let's go through real quick. Do we have 7 or more words? Yeah, we've got way more than 7. If you're doing this correctly, most of your sentences will have way more than 7 words. Is one of those the vocabulary words? Absolutely. Sorry, I think you might have heard the bell in there. I tried to pause it and said, but whatever, it happens. Does it have any my's, its, them's, they's in any of those sentences? Nope, not to start it. Do I have the word I anywhere in that sentence? No, you cannot have, I probably should have said this earlier if I didn't, you cannot have the word I anywhere in a 7-up sentence, okay? I know it's yours, your name's on the top of the paper. Get those out. It'll be an automatic 0, and then I'll have you redo it. Underline the vocabulary term. Yep, we got that. Now, can we take rag out and put purple in, and that sentence still makes sense? Students in social studies use purple to answer questions about numbers meaning in a full sentence. Nope, doesn't make sense anymore. So that's a good sentence. Show what you know. Sentences is accurate. Yeah, that's something we did. So that sentence looks good to go. All right. So that should help you at least write a sentence for that, for RAG. I don't think you're going to be able to write a sentence for any of the others, but you can try. I would do it in pencil because we're going to talk about those together. All right. If you have any questions about any of this, as always, throw me a message on Schoology. We can talk it out there. See me before or after class. Or if it's a question lots of people have, we may be able to talk about it in class. Until next time, 7th graders, out.